Hi, I'm Adrienne. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, and welcome to No Awkward Question. So this is my channel where I answer all of your questions related to women's health, sexual health, and so on, and just a friendly reminder that there is no awkward question. So I get asked very, very often, what is the best birth control for me? What's the best birth control? Which birth control should I use? What would you choose if you were me? So many questions, and it's a really hard question to answer. So I thought I would make this video telling you how I counsel patients about birth control so you can maybe use those questions for yourself so you can go into your appointment with a better idea of what you want. So first things first, if someone is wanting birth control, I always divide it up into two questions. The thing that can help you decide what type of birth control that you want is how long do you want it to be effective for, and what do you want your bleeding pattern to be. So how long do you want it to be effective for? Maybe you are just looking for birth control in the short term, maybe a year, maybe less, maybe 2 years. You're just doing some pregnancy spacing, you're dipping your toe into birth control and you're not sure if you're gonna like it. Okay, so you're wanting something more short term. That would be something like a pill, a patch, or a ring. Those are all totally within your control, so you can stop and start them whenever you want. So that's where the short-term piece comes in. And the other thing is, like the pill, very short term, it is only effective for 24 hours, so very short term. The patch is only effective for a week, and the ring is effective for a month. So all of these things are totally within your control. You can stop and start them whenever you like. The downside here is that they have a lower level of effectiveness because there's operator error involved. So just knowing that, okay, it's totally in my control can be a wonderful feeling, but also a lot of responsibility. So now you say, actually, I want something more long-term. I want to set it and forget it. I don't want to worry about it. I already tried those short-term methods before and I was really bad at remembering them. Or I know I don't want to be pregnant for a long time. I am trying to space pregnancy quite a bit. Then you're looking at some of the longer-term methods. Kind of this middle ground is the depot shot. It's a shot you would get in your arm or closer to your backside every 3 months. So that's kind of an in-between. Not really in your control necessarily unless you're somewhere where you can give yourself the shot. So not really in your control, but it's effective for a little bit more time, so it's kind of in the middle ground. But then the longer term methods obviously would be the Nexplanon implant that goes in your arm. And it can be called different things in different areas of the world, or there's different implants in different countries. I work in the US, so we have the Nexplanon, and that is our only arm implant. And currently it is FDA approved for 3 years. So they are trying to extend it, but I will quote you 3 years because that's what is approved right now. So that's 3 years, set it and forget it. Then you have all the IUDs, which are the intrauterine devices, the little T-shape that goes inside your uterus. And those can be used, depending on the device, anywhere from 3 to 10 plus years. So lots of variety. And I do know some of the IUDs that I'll talk about might be a little bit different where you live as well. Like the copper IUD. I had a patient, a European patient who she was, oh yes, I have the copper IUD, and she was getting it removed, and I was like, oh yep, this is a different Paragard. So sometimes there will be slight differences. So just making sure that you talk with your healthcare provider in your country where you are getting your device to make sure that all the details are right. So you only want birth control for a short time, just testing the waters, want something that's in your control, pill, patch, ring. You want something long-term, set it and forget it, arm implant, IUD. So what about the bleeding pattern piece? This is also really important. I have some patients who say, I want a period every single month. My period's really regular and I don't want to mess that up. Or, I want that period once a month because if I don't, I will freak out. I'll know I'm pregnant every day. I'm going to buy so many pregnancy tests. Okay, good deal. This is something to know about yourself. Will having a regular cycle be great for you because it's going to provide you with the confidence knowing you're not pregnant, or you just like knowing that you're having that regular cycle once a month, or are we trying to stop your period? And a lot of people, first question, oh no, that seems unnatural, that seems not safe, like what's happening if I'm not getting a menstrual cycle? It's not menopause. So we call a lack of a menstrual cycle, when you are using a birth control method, we call it method-related amenorrhea. So basically, related to your birth control method, you are not bleeding. So that's not a bad thing. It's actually, a lot of people want that because they're using a birth control method for contraception, but also to treat dysmenorrhea or painful periods, heavy menstrual bleeding, treating the pain of endometriosis, of fibroids, adenomyosis, or an unknown cause. We've done all the tests and everything, and for some reason you just have painful periods and we can't tell why yet, so we're using this as a controlling method. So there are reasons to not get a cycle, and they're not dangerous to you necessarily, but that's a conversation to have with your healthcare provider. Hey, these are the reasons I'm worried about not having the cycle. Is there evidence to back that up? So if you want a regular period once a month, what are some good options? The pill, the patch, and the ring. So one caveat there is, often when we say the pill, we're talking about a combined pill that has estrogen and progesterone, but there's also a progesterone-only pill. So I'll often say the pill, but often we mean a combined pill. So I'll try and say that instead. So a combined pill, a patch, or the ring. All three of those are likely to give you a regular menstrual cycle once a month. It's typically shorter and lighter and easier to manage than your regular cycle at baseline, because the hormones that are in those medications keep the lining thinner, so there's less for you to shed, which typically means less cramping, less bleeding. There's even a small amount of people that will not have a menstrual cycle at all on those methods. It's a small percentage, but sometimes that'll happen. Like, all right, I've been doing great on my pill. It's been awesome. I love it. And a year or two in, or 3 years, or a certain amount of time, you stop having menstrual cycles. Okay, that's a reason to go buy a pregnancy test and then talk to your healthcare provider. Often, it's a bump in the road, it's a one-time thing, but there are times when it can be something else, something totally unrelated to your birth control pill. So you want that regular cycle, the pill, the patch, the ring, all really good options. Now, a long-term option that will give you your regular cycle once a month would be the Paragard IUD. The Paragard has no hormones at all. We also call it the copper IUD. So the copper IUD has no hormones. It's made of silicone and copper, and that's it. So whatever's going on with your cycle will continue. The up or downside, depending on how you look at it with this device and what you want out of your birth control, is that whatever's going on with your cycle will continue. So if you're like, well, I want my regular cycle, but I want something to control my acne, it's not going to do that. I want my regular cycle, but I'm really, really struggling with PMS or PMDD symptoms. It's not going to do that. So it will give you your regular cycle. You want your natural cycle. You don't want any hormones. It's a really great option. But just knowing if your cycles are painful, they will stay painful. If they are irregular, it will not regulate them. So if you want your regular cycle, your cycle's already, really on the dot. It's 3 to 5 days long. It's so chill. Great. Rock and roll with that Paragard. You got it. The downside of the Paragard, in comparison to those other birth control methods that'll give you that regular cycle, is that the Paragard might make your periods heavier and crampier and a little bit longer than they used to be. So I typically tell people, okay, you're gonna go with Paragard, your periods are 3 to 5 days, okay, expect them to be 4 to 6, somewhere in there, and potentially stay that way the duration of the time that you use the device, and they could be heavier and crampier. Now with that, I have people all the time who say, that's a really worthy trade-off for me. honestly. Like hormones didn't work for me, I don't want hormones, or my periods are chill, like I can deal with some cramps. I always tell people, if you are of the mindset, I'm gonna give this a try, and I'll have ibuprofen on the ready, a heating pad ready to go, and some ice cream in the fridge, then that is good expectation management. But if you say, oh, I want my regular period, but I don't want it to get worse, then the Paragard might not be for you. So those are all the methods where you're going to keep your regular cycle. If you say, hey, I don't really care what happens with my cycle, as long as my birth control is working, I'm good. Or if you say, anywhere on that spectrum of, I don't really care what happens to my cycle, all the way up to, I don't want a period at all. Let's talk about those options. So you have the Depo shot. The Depo shot, I have so many people who love it so much, and there are really good reasons to use the shot. But it does have some risks and benefits and side effects, just like everything else. So I try not to explain things in a way that would lead a patient down, you must go this way, this thing is bad. But you should just, you should have good expectation management when you're choosing a birth control method too. So I won't get into every single side effect of every birth control method in this video. I'll do that later because this would be forever long. But with the Depo shot, eventually you will not have a menstrual cycle, or they will be very rare. But those first 6 months can be wild. You may go straight to having no cycles, you may have regular cycles that slowly go away, or you may just bleed on and off, or persistently for weeks or months at a time, and then by the time you get to 6 months, yay, no periods. But some people really struggle in that first 6 months, and I cannot tell you which person you will be. The person who loves their Depo from day one, the person who really struggles. I can't tell you which one you're gonna be. So if you go in with the mindset, I don't really care. For 6 months, I'll sort it out, it's fine. I will carry pads, tampons, panty liners with me. I don't care, the 3 months really works for me. I don't mind shots. This works for my life, beautiful, that's great expectation management. But if you say, no, I just wanted to shut my periods off, it might not do that, and you might be really unhappy. So that's the Depo shot. Longer term methods with the bleeding pattern. There's a couple different hormonal IUDs, and there's also the implant. The implant, that's another one where I tell people, I cannot promise you what will happen with your cycle. The Nexplanon is progesterone only. There's no estrogen. But that being said, the delivery method of that dose of hormones is different for everyone, what they experience with their menstrual cycle. So you could continue to have your regular cycle. Maybe it's a little shorter, a little lighter, but it happens at regular intervals that you were experiencing before you had it inserted. You could have no periods at all for a year, 2 years, or 3 years, the whole time it's in place in your arm. Third, you could have lots of irregular bleeding. That's the most common reason that people have it removed early. So what I counsel people on when they get their Nexplanon is, okay, if you are that person who says, I do not mind carrying panty liners with me for the first few months as things kind of sort themselves out, and knowing that my periods might be irregular the whole 3 years it's in my arm, I'm cool with that, because honestly they were irregular anyway, or hey, as long as it's not heavy bleeding, I'm cool with irregularity. Things like that, that's fine. That's good expectation management. But if you say, no, I want no periods at all, or I want my regular period, or I'm gonna be really frustrated with this birth control method, then it might not be the device for you. Lastly, the IUDs. So in the US, we have 4, I'm gonna kind of break it down into 3 though. One of the hormonal IUDs is the Skyla. I do not know where they come up with these names. Medical companies out there in the world, just to let you know, little PSA, we don't choose a device based on the name. I always joke with patients, they think if they name it something cute, we're gonna like it more. There's straight up birth control pills with girls' names like Charlotte and Nikki, and no one has ever been like, oh my gosh, my name's Nikki. I want the birth control name. Nikki is so cute, or I've always loved that name. No, literally no one has ever chosen a birth control method that way. So, cool it with the silly names. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So, the Skyla device. It is the smallest device, and it is the lowest dose of progesterone. So with that, it's only effective for 3 years because it has that lowest dose. It's still 99% effective, but it's just for 3 years. So why would you choose that? You want something that's set it and forget it, but you don't need anything longer than 3 years, or 3 years would be a good time for you to reevaluate what you want to do for family planning. The thing with that is I can't tell you what's going to happen with your bleeding pattern. You're going to get sick of me saying this, but it is my promise to you to inform you as best I can. So some of these methods have the same caution. So I can't tell you what's going to happen. Skyla could allow you to have your regular cycles. A lot of people experience that. You have to keep having your regular cycles because there's not that much hormone. So your body's still doing its thing. You're still ovulating in the background. You're still getting a uterine lining that has to shed. Cool. So you could get your regular cycles. You could have a regular bleeding. To what extent? Who knows? Or you could have no cycles at all. Can't tell you which will happen to you. The next step up is the Kyleena device, which is effective for 5 years. Again, it's this middle ground that I can't tell you what's going to happen with your cycle. It's this middle ground of progesterone dosage where some people, no periods. Some people, period every single month. Some people, lots of irregularity. So why would you choose a 5-year device? You've had it before, you already love it, you just want it again. Or the 5-year time frame really sounds good to you. Really sounds good. That's a good time for you to reevaluate. You'll be done with college, you'll be ready for another kid, whatever. You got options. Last but not least is the Mirena IUD. Now, I said there were 4, but the Liletta IUD and the Mirena, again, silly names, they're actually the same dosage of progesterone, and they're FDA approved for the same amount of time, which is 8 years. So you might have one that's more available in your area, one might be cheaper for you. Technically, they are the same dose, they are effective for the same amount of time, and they are still 99% effective. So I'll talk about them like they're the same. So why would you choose this device? What's the bleeding pattern all about? 8 years is great. Biggest bang for your buck when it comes to the hormonal IUDs. You're getting a lot of time, and you can take it out whenever you want. So if you're like, I don't know if I'll use it all 8 years, that's fine. No big deal. Take it out whenever you feel like it. If you're only going to use it for 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, it's fine. No skin off our back. So you can use it for a long time. It's 99% effective, and it is the dosage of progesterone that is most likely to stop your menstrual cycles. That being said, there's a small amount of people who will continue to have their cycles. They'll be shorter and lighter and easier to manage, but they'll still come once a month. So I was actually that person. Time for a personal story. I had the Liletta IUD for a little over 4 years. Super happy with it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But I had my cycle every single month. It was short and light and easy to manage. I had all those regular menstrual symptoms you expect. I knew when I was ovulating. I knew when my menstrual cycle was going to come. I had the symptoms people experience pre-menstrual, like, that little breakout or bloating, fatigue, and then I had a short, light, manageable cycle. But I can't guarantee you'll be the same. You might be that person who has no periods or has some irregular bleeding every once in a while. But if you're like, I would like the greatest guarantee that I will not have a cycle, that's your girl, Mirena or Liletta. So you might be saying, Adrienne, you missed some, and you're not wrong. In this video, I'm not going to cover sterilization because that's a whole different topic. That's permanent birth control. These are all, removable or reversible or short-term. birth control methods that you can stop whenever you want. You can take out an IUD whenever you want. You can take out your Nexplanon, stop your pill. So those sterilization methods, I will talk about in a whole other video, because that's a lot of stuff, and this video would be forever. But I hope that kind of broke things down. So when you are thinking, okay, I want to start on birth control, or I'm not happy with my birth control, I want to switch it up, those are the questions to ask yourself. How long do I want it to be effective for? What do I want my bleeding pattern to be? And that really helps narrow it down. That being said, at the end of the day, birth control is not a BuzzFeed quiz where we can just answer a few questions and then we find out that if you were a pasta, you would be rigatoni. No. You could do all of this counseling, all of this talk about what would work best for you, okay? And then we try it, and in reality, you don't like it. Or you thought you would, or oh man, you thought you really wanted a period every month, and JK, you don't. Or you thought you would be totally fine with not having a menstrual cycle, but you're freaking out all the time. This happens all the time, and that's okay. I always tell people, there's probably a birth control method out there for everybody, but it does take some experimentation sometimes to figure out which one will be right for you. So that's okay. We can do all the things, we can talk about all the risks and benefits and the alternatives, but please don't be discouraged if you're like, I figured out those questions and I got this birth control method and I hate it. Okay, no problem. All right, let's regroup. Let's talk about why you don't like it. Let's troubleshoot, see if we can do something a little bit different. The only caveat to that is give it some time. Don't say, I used my IUD for 2 days and I don't like it. Or I took one pill and I didn't like it. Typically we tell you to try it for 3 to 6 months. There's lots of extenuating circumstances why someone wouldn't try it that long, but in general, try it for 3 to 6 months. If you don't like it, then let's regroup and talk about why and get you something better that meets your criteria better, works with your body better, and prevents pregnancy, or does all the other things that it needs to work with your life. So I hope this was helpful. I'll make some more videos that do like deep dives into each birth control method as time goes by, and covered a lot of other different content. So this is my time to do a shameless plug. Please like and subscribe and comment, or if you don't like to do any of those things, you can just share it with a friend. Sharing is caring. And we'll go from there. Or just tell me in the comments, hey, this was helpful, or this wasn't that helpful. This is other content that I would like instead. That's great. I'm open to suggestion. It's great. The last thing that I thought about adding to the end of these videos, and you can tell me if it's silly or not, but I'm a normal human person. I'm a healthcare provider, and I am also a normal human person, just like you. It's like when you read like the People magazine, they're like, celebrities, they're just like us. You're a healthcare provider, likes other things besides healthcare. So I thought about adding to the end like a recommendation that's like something totally not healthcare related at all. And my first one was like YouTube channels that I enjoy that are totally not healthcare related at all. So if you find that helpful as a little addition, or just funny or whatever, then let me know. If you're like, Adrienne, that's stupid, I come here for healthcare advice, like keep your opinions to yourself. Keep your opinions to yourself. That's fine too. But I also like to plug, other things that could be fun, or I don't know. We're all just trying our best here, guys. So there is a channel that I really enjoy. This will be my little recommendation for funsies if you stuck around this long. My recommendation is a channel called Reality Squad. I'll just put it right here. She is just the cutest person in the whole world, and I am someone, I don't really watch TV anymore. I have a husband and a dog and a toddler, and I'm just if it's not Paw Patrol or Daniel Tiger, I'm probably not sitting down for it. So all the reality shows I used to watch as a high school or a college student, I don't want to sit down and watch the whole thing. I just want to recap and know what's going on in Sister Wives. So This girl is so great. She does all these recaps. She like posts all the time. She's really consistent. She's adorable and so nice. And she always has like the best headbands. I have headband envy. And she does a great job of like just doing like quick recaps of all these like reality TV things. And I'm like, if I felt like it or made time in my life to watch these things, I would do that. But I appreciate her for giving me that time. So I'm folding laundry, I can be like, no way, that happened in Sister Wives, get out of town, that's so crazy. And then that's like 7 minutes of my day, and I folded some laundry and I got to stay up to date on trashy reality TV. It's awesome. So go to her channel if you need reality TV show recaps, or if you just like don't have cable and don't have TLC and like wanna know what's up. But again, thank you for tuning in, and like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I'll see you back here soon.